Welcome to the Project Management Prepcast, helping you to prepare to take the PMP exam with your host, Cornelius Fichtner.
Hello and welcome to the Project Management Prepcast, the absolute best way to prepare for the PMP exam. I am your instructor, Cornelius Fichtner. Quite often, project management is not totally black and white. A project manager can respond in various ways to events. This means that you are not only faced with the issue that you have a personality conflict on your team, but you must also decide whether to address this conflict directly with the team members, or if it would be better to come up with a team building exercise that may help your team to overcome the situation. And you can expect to find these kind of scenarios in sample questions as well. And you now have to decide which of the 4 ambiguous answers that they're giving you is the best one. So, let's look at the learning goals for this lesson. At the end, you will be able to understand the various options you have on how exam questions can be approached. You will know who is always right, know the main characteristics of a project manager, and you will be able to determine if you are ready to take the exam. All right then, sample exam questions mirror real-life project situations. Quite often you will see a question and at least 2 of the answers seem right. And now, for 1 point towards your PMP certification, you must select the best one. Let me repeat that. You must select the best one. None of these answers may be 100% correct, but one of them will be better than the others when you analyze it right. There is of course no single correct approach to analyzing the questions, but there are several concepts and techniques that you should know. The first concept is that the PMBOK guide is always right. The PMI strives to improve project management environments in such a way that in the future all projects will always be executed in the most ideal of circumstances. This is why the PMBOK guide has been written, and it is also the light under which to answer the questions. Answer them from the perspective of the PMBOK guide and not from your own experiences. When in doubt, the PMBOK guide wins. The next concept is that a project manager is proactive. As a project manager, you may never leave a small problem linger and give it the opportunity and time to become a large issue. When a problem is presented to you, you will first analyze it, define the various options that are available to you, and then select the response that correctly addresses the root cause. For the example that I used in the introduction, the better answer would therefore be to address the personality conflict with those 2 team members directly and not try and solve it in a circumspect way by holding a team building meeting. So the PMBOK guide is always right and a project manager is proactive were 2 of the concepts that may help you in finding the best answer among the 4 that are given. Let's move on to a few techniques. And the first technique that I have for you is read the question first. This is simply the traditional way. Start out by reading the question. Make sure that you understand it and that you can distinguish between the important facts and all this extraneous information and noise. Learn to ignore those facts that do not relate back to the question. Then read all 4 possible answers, and usually 2 of the 4 will very obviously be incorrect and can instantly be eliminated. Then weigh the 2 remaining questions against each other and make your choice. The next technique is to simply use your brain. begin by reading the question, but not the answers. Now that you know the question, close your eyes and think. What do you think the answer should be? And when you are ready with your answer, then open your eyes again and read the answers. And more often than not, your answer is right there in front of you. Our third technique is to simply start bottom up. Read the answers first and then read the question. This upside-down approach can be helpful in the case of very long questions. If you already know the possible answers, then as you read this long question, you can more easily zoom in to the information that you really need. And our last technique is another one for approaching long questions, and it's simply to read the last sentence in a long question first, because the last sentence usually contains the actual question. Now that you know what they really want to know, you can read the text in this particular light. Also, remember that you will have a checkbox that allows you to mark a question if you are unsure. That way, you can come back to the marked questions later for review. Let me finish by answering a question that almost every single one of my students asks. When do I know that I am ready to take the exam? Now, that is a difficult question to answer because simply most of us will never feel ready. But there is one metric that you can use, and that is the percentage of questions that you answer correctly as you prepare for the exam. Here is what you have to do. Answer as many new sample questions as you can and keep score of the first time that you answer the questions. If you are consistently answering 80% of all the new questions correctly, then you may consider yourself to be ready. And remember, I'm not saying 80% of all the questions that you're answering, I'm saying 80% of the new questions that you're answering. So don't go through the same 1,000 sample questions 4 times. The goal is to answer 800 of those 1,000 questions right on your very first try. And that concludes our look at ways to finding the best answers to sample questions. Until next time.